Is going on, guys? It's Yoji. In this video I want to showcase a Freeze Pulse Assassin setup that I played recently after finishing my EQ jog that I made a video about before. This build has a very smooth playstyle, and I'm making this as an inspiration for you guys, more as a showcase because I did not really finish this build and max it out to its true potential, but I want to showcase it because I think Freeze Pulse is kind of flying under the radar at the moment, and it has a really cool playstyle, is really smooth and can be pushed towards really high endgame content on an okay budget, not going all out, but also investing just enough to make the gearing more interesting, even if you are a player who usually makes it into higher tier maps and actually puts a few more exalts into their builds. That being said, it can start out fairly low and smoothly level into high budget gear itself as kind of a league starter. So as you can see, the playstyle, the clearing is very smooth, the bossing is very safe into early rat maps at least, because you can consistently freeze even higher tier bosses with this skill. The single target, however, is not too great, but now that you can actually freeze Metamorphs, they're not as sketchy as they look in this footage, because this was before the freeze patch. A path of building is in the video description below of my character, but it is more of a showcase, as I said, than a full guide, and the character below is not the optimized gear, it is the actual gear that I put together in just like playing this character for a week or so. So you should be able to make this character as you can see it in the video fairly easily. So first of all, let me start with Assassin is pretty damn pork. I don't know how popular it is exactly at the moment, it's definitely not as popular as a Necro, but Assassin is insanely good ascendancy right now. The crit, the power charge generation, elusive, the crit immunity, and yeah, just the solid defenses this actually used to be glass cannon class has nowadays, and overall just makes for a really good ascendancy, especially for like speed clearing builds. It has inherent 30% movement speed while clearing, because it gains 10% on full power charges and 20% on kill, which makes the dual wand setup that I'm running, but also stave setups feel really good, because you don't have to rely solely on flame dash for getting around, or you are not forced into using a Queen of the Forest, for example. You can actually run this on a more defensive chest, like I did with the Kintsugi, and still make a really solid build. So that's why I've chosen to run a dual void battery setup, which of course has insane synergy and insane damage combined with the Assassin. But you can get this started on a budget with a few Chaos wands called Tollborn, which are the Toll Breachlord drop wands, which only cost a few Chaos right now each, even with good rolls, and those are really great for early rat maps and allow you to farm up on the budget the higher budget options such as dual void batteries. But in the end you really want dual void batteries because they are like infinitely better and insanely better. But Tollborn can get you started with the high damage effectiveness that Freeze Pulse has. You can actually get it to really high damage and enough damage to do early rat maps and farm up any gear you want. By the way, as a hint, don't use the Tollfall upgraded version of the wand. It is way worse for this build, as it will chunk down your power charges eventually and give you frenzy charges, which my version of the build cannot even gain, so there's not really any use for that. So don't use those. And you can use Tollborns for leveling. They have very early or low level requirements, and you can use you should use two threshold jewels for Freeze Pulse to give it extra projectiles and a bit more damage. Now for the higher budget options, once you got your dual void batteries going, you can either go for a Badge of the Brotherhood amulet for clearing, which allows you to get a lot of extra frenzy charges and makes the build feel a lot more speedy, gives it also higher damage while clearing. But I would personally go for a Pandemonious, which is the Toll amulet for defenses and single target boost. Gives you penetration and blinds enemies, which is really good, combined with a high dodge, high evasion, acro, Kintsugi playstyle. So my version of the build would use the Pandemonious amulet, which I didn't actually equip because I kind of opted out of the character and made a new build before I got the Exalted Orbs to actually buy the amulet, but that would be really insane. And combined with the Pandemonious version, I was running a Templar Timeless Jewel with the Dominus Keystone in a Conviction. This makes it possible to gain frenzy charges, which is why you do not use it with the Badge of the Brotherhood. This gives you 3% more damage per power charge and makes it almost as good as being low life. This is 27% more deeps, while at 9 power charges, which the build sits at eventually. One power charge you have to anoint from the passive tree, the other 2 you spec. You get 1 from each void battery and 1 from the Assassin itself, for a total of 9. You can probably corrupt the power charge somewhere if you really want to, but I didn't do that. So 27% more damage, which is pretty damn good. Projectile speed from the quality of the gem actually is enough to almost get to the product speed that I'm showing in the video. I was also using a helmet with the projectile speed for Freeze Pulse Enchant, which is highly recommended. Even just with the gem quality, you're covering the whole screen. It is actually very much worth it to get Proj Speed because it is a more multiplier for damage in the way it works, because Freeze Pulse loses damage the further it travels, and the Proj Speed makes the pulses travel further, which kind of like, in relation to how far the enemies are, makes you deal more damage. So you don't have to get as close to deal the same damage, or if you get closer, you do more damage. So for that reason, I get some more Proj Speed on the tree. Herald of Ice smoothes out the clear. You can use Zealotry or Hatred for damage. Zealotry is a bit less damage, but a bit more occasional defense from regeneration. High Evasion, Aggro Phase, Aggro, Elusive, Kintsugi for defenses round out the build to be fairly survivable. But as I said, this is mainly a showcase for your inspiration if you were looking for a cool mapping build to try that is maybe not the top of the meta currently, but still really good. Subscribe for more Path of Exile content. I'm Yoji, and I will see you soon.